Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to Mad Realms Talking Skritt. I'm your host, Jim, and we're back for January 2nd, 2021. Not 2020 New Game Plus. We're not doing that shit again. 2021. Let's get this off right. We've got a lot of stuff for you, which I was surprised at how much is actually going on. Guild Wars 2 Blackline Trading Company .com shuts down and then doesn't. Delphi.net updates, and truly one of the most Guild Wars 1, and one of the most important Guild Wars 1 updates in years, and some more stuff after that. But first, let me introduce my fellow hosts for today. She writes for MMORPG.com. I have no witty roar pun, but I don't know if she'll be able to roar with all the Winter's Day alcohol she's been drinking. Say hello to Arlie.
Yeah, I've drank a ton of Winter's Day alcohol this year. Like, I couldn't even give you a number.
Lots.
But literally, like, when this Winter's Day started, I was, I think I said like 52% of the way done of tier 4 of that, and now I'm like 93%. It's a lot.
But you still have tier 5 to go through.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
But I'm making progress.
You can
I'll
do
get
it.
there eventually.
You can do it. I believe in you. And finally, he streams over on Twitch where he answers the age-old question, if there was a 2020 New Game Plus, what build would he be running? Say hello to H.
It'd be 2020.2.0.1.
I would have said Hermit build.
Yeah, I wasn't going for the code build angle, but yeah, that'd be the build number for it for sure.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, as I said at the top there, Guild Wars 2 Black Lion Trading Company is a website that offers multiple tools to help you earn money in game. It's fantastic. I had no idea it existed before it came up in the show notes. But then again, I'm not a person that really like guns for making a ton of gold in game. I just kind of let the money roll in, and I was just like, oh, I have over 100 gold now, which I think people who avidly use BLTC are people who have many more times that amount of gold. But the homepage has a bunch of different categories for trending items and different ways things are going. There's a trading post database to let you check a given item's trading post statistics. Like, it even has return on investment percentages and how many buy and sell orders are in. It's pretty in depth. And finally, one of the things that I think a lot of people would actually like is they have a die matcher where you can pick a die and find other dies that are close to it, so that maybe you could find something close to the color you want for cheaper, which that's really cool, I think.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that.
That's definitely going to be super useful for a lot of people. So I'm going to go ahead and grab their link, toss that in chat, and for those of you listening on YouTube, it's going to be in the description as usual. The site runner, Jolu Marty, Reddit user account, Jolu Thief, announced that the site would be shutting down at the end of 2020. Later citing that ad revenue wasn't capable of keeping the site running. Citing an outpouring of community support, Jolu opened up, there's both a PayPal donation link for a single donation and a Patreon for it. So, hooray, Guild Wars 2 community saving, a community project, and I'm really happy about that. So, what are you guys' thoughts on the whole ordeal?
Yeah.
I mean,
oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. Now I feel bad. But there's a lot of sites that have been around for a while just supporting different ways of supporting, like Guild Wars 2 efficiency, BLTC, so on and so forth, that have very helpful uses of just viewing your accounts in total, or helping out, in this case, helping you flip items on the market or seeing what's hot, what's not. So yeah, it's kind of cool that people's wanted this to continue. So
yeah, I'm kind of happy this happened because like Mount Venice, I hadn't ever heard about this before, and now I'm like, oh, this is cool, and it has more than just like selling stuff on it. It has other things that I might use, so I'm excited about that. I hope that between the PayPal and Patreon, it can get enough money to pay for the server update to keep it going, um, because that often is kind of a problem sometimes. Like people don't want to lose something, but they also don't want to pay for it.
Yeah, that tends to be the case, and it
Yeah.
sucks. But I mean, also I would depend. I didn't have a chance to look at the Patreon for it, but I feel like it's entirely possible that just a few people contributing to this would probably
Hmm.
do a lot to help it keep going. I'm probably gonna like once I get back into like actually trying to get stuff going. I know Arlie, you haven't used it. Age, have you ever made use of the website before?
Early days, pretty much.
Okay, because I think you are probably one of the only people on the team for the show that would be even remotely interested in something to act as like a force multiplier for gold income.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like for finding stuff that's just like things that I could sell that are in my inventory that I have a lot of and
Hmm.
get me a little bit of gold for legendary stuff, but
Now I have to
I
load it
haven't
up
used
because
it
I need to see
recently.
how the chicken market is.
Yeah. My general approach to the trading post is the same as it is in every MMO. I don't, when I'm selling something, I just want to sell it and I don't care about getting the best money for it. Like, I just want to get it out and get a little bit of something.
Oh
I am the
wow!
opposite of somebody who
Every
maximizes
item,
that.
every item in their database has three links: something to copy
Hmm.
the name, something to get the chat link in game, and a direct link to the wiki page.
Hmm, that's useful.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. The return on the return of investment on slabs of poultry meat is currently down 3.04%.
Oh no.
Yeah. So the poultry market is down. That is a deep cut talking Skritt reference to back when Royby was on the channel. So
Aw.
that's a market that has long passed, I think. But that's I'm just happy to see it keep going. Like I'm always happy to see the community stuff stick around. So any further thoughts before we move on to our next topic?
Uh, I'm good. Continue.
Okay. Well, one of the things that we often got a lot of our links about, images, videos, guides that we would link to in our news posts, was from Delphi.net. And we all know a while ago, Delphi had some real life stuff and she had to stop updating the website. Well, there was a blog post recently from fellow site runner Master Killer, who I believe was responsible for mostly the Star Wars Old Republic stuff.
Hmm.
And once again, Delphi.net will be posting content. Uh, Delphi apparently will not be. To quote Master Killer, will she be back? Maybe. She has left it open for possibility. So it sounds that Delphi doesn't have quite the time to dedicate to updating the website as
Hmm.
much as she previously did. And from what Master Killer is saying in this blog post, it's not like Delphi to do anything half-heartedly.
Hmm.
Which I
Mm.
mean, knowing what we know about the previous guides that came out from Delphi, well, it's pretty obvious. Um, but Master Killer is updating the site. The site has a new layout, which Master Killer did say was because they needed to update WordPress. So the previous theme was not viable, apparently. But we should be seeing more stuff coming from Delphi.net in the future.
Yeah. Well, there's also somebody named Issy
Yes.
who's apparently doing content for Guild Wars 2 there now.
Why, thank you for reading the next bullet point, Carly.
Actually, I was looking at the site, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I figured.
consistent.
Yep, definitely consistent. Yes. But speaking of Master Killer looking for content writers, we do have a Guild Wars 2 content writer who made a post. Somebody by the name of Issy, and Issy has been playing for 3 years, and Guild Wars 2 is one of their daily plays. So we have somebody who regularly plays the game. They are going to work on getting guides onto Delphi.net for newer stuff, but also want suggestions in the blog post that Issy put up for, what people would like to see. And I keep looking over at my camera, and just the giant pink header completely washes out everything on my camera, and it all looks red and weird. But so if you're curious and you want, to see specific guides come out, just, you have to go onto the Delphi website, go to Issy's blog post, you drop the comment, it's like, hey, I want to see X.
Quaggin parties.
How do we write guides to Quaggin parties?
There's a way, I'm sure.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, wait, I did have a picture to put up, and I totally forgot to do it. Crap. Well, if y'all want to talk about that while I set this up. So
talk about what?
Talk about Delphi updating.
Oh, I mean, it's pretty awesome. Like, I was literally just thinking about it like a week ago. I wanted to look up something, and then I was like, oh, wait, it's probably not on Delphi because they haven't been updating it, and I was really sad. So I'm excited, and like, I totally understand that it will take a while to get new guides up because guide writing takes an age. Even if it's like a fairly simple guide, it takes a while to put all of it together, especially if you want to make a good guide. So I'm excited.
You're muted, sir.
I'm aware because I'm going to be typing, and I'm just kind of annoyed that I get incredibly loud system notifications while I'm trying to delete things. And
no.
This stores my it reads my system audio, so I'm getting giant Microsoft noises in the middle of the stream.
You can mute that.
I can. Definitely. I just, at the moment, don't know how, and I was trying to do this very quickly.
Right click, volume mixer, system sounds.
Yeah, but I don't want to mute it all the time. I just want to mute it a little bit.
Well, you just mute it for the stream.
Then he'd have to remember to unmute it.
Exactly, and that would be the problem. But it's so we've got Dolphy back going into the future, so that's great. Just as soon as they update the website to not have that giant pink header, because holy crap,
a little too much.
That's you need some kind of protection from that. Like, speaking of protecting your head, we've got one of the most important Guild Wars 1 updates of all time. Ever. They updated the desktop icon to a vector image.
Nice.
Super important. Credit goes to that shaman on Twitter for this information. I don't know. I always, anytime there's an update to Guild Wars 1, I always feel like it's sometimes very weird, like little things. And it's just, I didn't expect that, but they did it.
Well, like, I feel like this is what happens when, like, you have people who still, like, care about a thing, but there's no directed development. So, like, people just do what one they have time to do, which directs them, and then what they're interested in doing. So you get random interesting things like that.
Yeah, just kind of like, here's Halloween, because somebody worked on it in their spare time.
Yeah.
But I would ask for, comments from you two on the new icon. But
oh, it's cleaner.
That's yeah. Well, switching to vector image is always going to be cleaner. Just I think it's a vector. It looks vector. Either that, or they just decided to make like a 1080p icon, and then just shrink it down, which
would be amazing.
You know, Breakfast Torment, I always say that I want to get back into Guild Wars 1, and I never do.
Yep.
It's that wonderful thing called needing time, which
Well,
even
it's not just needing time, it's needing time where there aren't other things that like I need to do or I particularly really want to do. I
yeah.
just need more open time.
But hey, at least if you do get back to Guild Wars 1, the icon will look really nice on your desktop. I mean, that's important.
Yeah.
Now, I feel like we've gone lightning round for all of the topics, and that's because everything is kind of going on.
It's New Year.
Yeah, it's the
Yep.
last even it's even a 3 week roll up show, and we've got not much, which I suppose you could say is a good thing. You know, the whole no news is good news thing, except
Well,
for our next story where no news has been. Oh God, Guild Wars 2 is going to die in
oh
2021.
my god.
So that particular hyperbole going into this article from MassivelyOP titled let me pull up the article here because I'm going to post it in chat too. Paste, enter. End of year 11, the MMOs with the most uncertain futures in 2021. So right at the top of that, number one on the list is Guild Wars 2. And it's a short blurb, so I'll go ahead and read it off. There's a lot of weight on Cantha. Really, you could argue there was always going to be a lot of weight on Cantha, but this time it's coming after a year off from expansions that didn't really work and an unsettlingly long holding pattern for the game. Combine that with ambiguity about who is actually in charge of the game right now and various ArenaNet layoffs over the course of the last few years, and I think a lot of fans of Guild Wars 2 are feeling a weird sort of pinch. I don't think there's any risk of the game going anywhere, but flubbing things this year could be a really bad sign, especially as the game has been facing storms before. I have thoughts, but you two, please go ahead first.
My main one is like I get why like some people are concerned about we don't know who's in charge of Guild Wars 2, but at the same time it really doesn't matter for us. Like that's not information we particularly need to know. Like knowing that doesn't change anything other than if you wanted to like have feelings about this person you do not know, like whoever it is, which is, you know, just precarious at best. Um, so that part I think annoys me the most out of it. Like, I get that we've gotten used to in this world of like social media and like devs being available to us and being like, this is the person that's in charge of that, knowing that information. I still don't think that it's particularly important or a sign of the weakness of Guild Wars 2 that we don't know that.
Age?
Yeah, I agree with Harley that whoever is in charge of it doesn't really matter. It's what comes out that matters. And I think that's kind of the important thing in terms of Guild Wars 2 future, because it's kind of going back to Teapot's video where he was saying or one of the reasons that the latest story wasn't that great is because they're working on the expansion. They're putting in the expansion, so the expansion has to be good in that respect. It has to be decent. Otherwise, there is that kind of I don't know where this game is going type of vibe. In terms of veteran players, I've always said that new players will get the most out of this game for sure because there's a lot of things to do. I think you can say that for any MMO, but I think Guild Wars 2 is a pretty solid MMO in terms of the combat, in terms of the synergy in the combat, and all the great systems that it has. But in terms of veteran play, there's not strong repeatability in the game that's supported, and that is kind of the major problem with Guild Wars 2 right now, and it's something that they need to address. I don't know if they'll do it with the expansion as well, but I think that's one of the major things that is missing from the game. And yeah, again, even if the expansion doesn't do like I think it'll do okay, obviously, because it's an expansion. A lot of people go for it, but if it's not majorly successful, I don't think the game's going to go anywhere either. It's just that it's gonna leave kind of a sour taste in veteran players' mouths. That's about it. That's my thought.
Yeah, I want to just respond to what you said about it's always for most MMOs. There's always the most stuff for new players because backlog of stuff. I think Guild Wars 2 is even in a better place with that than even MMOs like WoW. Because, like, yes, a new player has a lot of old content they can go back through and stuff, but in WoW, there's no real reason to. Like, once you've leveled, there's no reason really to do old stuff unless there's a particular achievement you want or toy or something like that. Whereas with Guild Wars 2, there's a lot of old stuff that can still be relevant for people, depending on what their goals within the game are. But it's not in the same way relevant as it would be for like WoW or something. So
And that's like
Yeah.
going along with the design paradigm. Like, I mean, look at legendary crafting. You
mm-hmm.
you have to go do a whole bunch of stuff that is involved all over the world. Sure, you can only really do those achievements once, which kind of sucks for doing any kind of repeatability.
Mm-hmm.
But since Massively started in 2015, how many times have they been worried that WoW is dying? I mean, I
Well,
think we've said before on this show that the only thing that's going to kill World of Warcraft is itself. So,
most games, most gaming news outlets will cover WoW in terms of, well, back in the day where they put out subscriber numbers. That's when people would talk
Yeah.
about it a lot. But
I also kind of want to address like it's this first bit. So, for my thoughts on this
Mm-hmm.
coming after a year off from expansions that didn't really work, we have
Yeah.
not had a content drought.
No.
Like, you could technically argue we're currently in one because the first chapter of Champions is kind of meh according to the community,
Yeah.
which
But I mean, that's not really a drought still. It's just content that people didn't necessarily like.
right,
We got
but
it.
and we've
Like
been
it's still
getting
something.
updates. Like, it's not like they have been silent. It's not like we have been lacking for new stuff coming out. I mean, that's one of those things. It's just like, yeah, maybe you don't like it, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not like this is pre Heart of Thorns again.
Right.
Like, if you want to talk about content drought between the end of season 2 and Heart of Thorns, that has been, I think, the biggest content drought in the entirety of Guild Wars 2's history.
uh, yeah, there was
So,
like six months between
with nothing,
the
with no word.
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I think like if you compare if they're talking about Path of Fire, I think that was an expansion that didn't really hit as well as Heart of Thorns. Mostly just well, I won't. It hit differently, mostly because it was more. It was less about adding a whole bunch of new features like raids and stuff like that, and more just giving more of the world to explore, which
Mm-hmm.
is good for a time. But I think a lot of things like the bounty system was a bit of a issue that they need to work on. Um,
Yeah,
but
there's certainly.
otherwise,
Oh, go ahead.
yeah. But like, I'm just like, otherwise, it's just like it was a okay expansion. It added some stuff I had to do, but I think the main problem with Path of Fire is just that I don't feel the need to go back to those maps as much. Um, if anything, you would go back to do the coin events there, but that's really the only reason I would go back to any of those maps. There's no real incentive to go there outside
Because
of the bounties.
aside from like all of the release Path of Fire maps were just they were all like old style like vanilla Guild Wars
Yeah,
2 maps. They didn't like we made this I made this complaint how many times after Path of Fire came out. It's just they needed meta maps.
yeah.
And like the
Whereas,
thing to remember too is when Heart of Thorns came out, a lot of people complained about the
That
meta
it was
maps. They
meta maps, yeah.
complained about how hard it was to traverse around and that you couldn't really explore because there was so much bad stuff. So like they were trying to swing back the way they
Right.
had been previous. So like I get frustrated when people complain about Path of Fire because it's what the loud people who are yelling about stuff were asking for. And
I
like,
feel
what do they
I
expect?
feel like Heart of Thrones' problem wasn't necessarily the meta events, but more like there were so many things you're getting locked out of because
The
of the
meta.
gradual progress
Yeah.
to the meta event. I think
Right.
that was the main problem.
Yeah, I agree with that. It was just I remember a lot of people complaining about not being able to explore because they wanted to explore that if you wanted to do the meta, you had to stay for a whole cycle of the meta. You didn't get enough rewards of it just doing stuff in there for little it didn't reward short periods of time play as much.
Hmm.
Um those are the main complaints I remember. And all the activities people hated them.
I feel like they should go back to what the original map, like let's take Queensdale for example. Queensdale you can explore all over the place, and then there's a world boss every now and then. I feel like they need to go back to that type of
Right.
Well, that was what they
content.
were trying to do with Path of Fire maps.
Yeah,
Right.
but you can make that boss like a meta event or what have you. And I think they did that really well with not Corna Jahai,
Mhm.
because I think it was Jahai. Jahai was the map where you have like that other shatter event in like the left side of the map.
Yeah, yeah, the branded the Death Touch Shatterer, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
right. Mhm.
So like that's a good one.
Yeah, it's like, and then what is it though? I can't remember the island, but there are two meta events going on in that map. You've got the hall on one side, and then the city on the other. It's the meta event with the guild with the Nightfall class, the Dervish boss.
What is
Don't know.
It's a
this?
meta event that is it's a world boss. It's a that you can't Amala.
Amala is.
Yeah, thank you, Sherlock Hamster. Um, yeah, there's the event where you infiltrate the hall, and you have to like
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, and then on the other side of the map, opposite of that meta event, because like they switch back and forth. So I think that was them trying to do a meta event that also addresses what Arlie was saying is people not liking how long it takes to do the full map meta events.
Right.
So clearly they have been able to interweave like a meta event chain with an explorable map. I think Dragonfall is a fantastic example. There's only one area of the map that's truly locked off behind meta event completion, and where the Brandstorm is, there's nothing to find outside of stuff you
Right.
need for the meta event.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
That's the type of maps they need to focus on. I think, especially for the expansion.
and like
Mhm.
giant hardcore meta maps, I wouldn't have wanted all of like when Path of Fire released their first 5 maps. I would have been okay with only one of them being like a giant meta map,
Yeah.
like
I.
where the I can't remember the name of the area, but the zone that has all the sulfur areas, and there's the
Mhm.
you're traveling down to a it was a Guild Wars 1 location that was a giant portal.
Oh, it's
You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember. It had something to do with Balthazar, but
hold on.
that could have been a meta zone all in of itself, like assaulting
Does
that.
the Desolation or
The,
Domain of Abbey?
I believe it's the Desolation.
Because the Desolation has a lot of the sulfur.
The Maws of Torment. Thank you again, Sherlock Hamster.
He's just reaching in your head and pulling out information.
We're connected.
Yeah.
Don't touch anything on your way out.
I just I don't like the classification of expansions that haven't worked. I think both of the previous expansions have had issues with them. There were different issues. I think if they pull a little bit from everything, they'll do better. But they were also good expansions in my opinion. And
Yeah.
I mean, coming from somebody who never wanted an expansion in the first place, I feel like that says something.
Yeah.
Like,
Then I
Yeah.
think and this is just my problem with their basic insinuation that there's been no content in the game. The second half, when you're talking about who's in charge of the game, one, I agree with both of you that it really doesn't matter. Two, we haven't had, that I can remember, major layoffs from the Guild Wars 2 team for a while now.
wasn't it? I don't.
Like the
My
last
sense
person,
of time is like I have no idea.
well, 2020 was approximately 4 decades, but the last person I remember talking about getting laid off from ArenaNet was Jennifer Sherla, and that was the
Oh,
only
that was
person
the
we heard
one.
about, and she wasn't
Right.
even on the Guild Wars 2 team.
Right. I was gonna say that was the one that we heard about, and it was rumored that it was part of a bigger layoff, but there was never any confirmation about
Right.
that.
Like there was
Yeah.
there was never, like, nobody was talking about it. So,
Yeah.
and it's not for lack of trying, because we were talking about this whole thing with the article that we linked, which I believe again was from Massively,
Mm-hmm.
for that
Yep. It was.
particular, where they were just like, yeah, Jennifer Sherla got let go. This is bad for Guild Wars 2, despite the fact that we knew of nobody else who got let go. And
She wasn't working directly on Guild Wars 2.
exactly.
Yeah.
So I look at this, and it's very, it's
It's
very weird.
I don't.
Like it's,
Yeah.
I don't know where to
I
go
don't
with
know.
this.
I
Like,
feel like this is my personal opinion, and like I mentioned, it's one of the reasons why I don't really go to their site anymore. I feel like they tend towards the sky is falling a lot more than anything else, and it frustrates me. Not even just with Guild Wars 2, but a lot of games in general.
yeah, yeah. I think that basically, I don't think we've ever spotlighted an article from Massively that was a positive one. Granted, the human mind tends to not
Or
remember.
just using it.
What's that?
Or just like we just use them just for discussion talk
Yeah.
or something like that. But I like there's some things in the caption that's a bit off, but I think honestly I think Guild Wars 2 does kind of have an uncertain future in terms of just this year.
Like, we don't
Um,
really know where it's going. That's
That's
for
true.
one thing.
Yeah.
that's in terms of the story, yes. So we don't know where they're going to go after Dragons. In
Right.
terms of the actual game itself, for me, it's an uncertain future just because there's a lot of things that just need to be addressed and they haven't been for the longest time. So it's really coming down to seeing what this expansion brings and what other extra stuff that they're going to add alongside the expansion. So that's what makes it uncertain for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked about it too. My last column for Guild Wars 2 for MMORPG was that I've kind of really hit a wall with Guild Wars 2 where I'm not playing it very often. Even when there's new story, like the most recent story, I liked it, but like I on live, I haven't played through all of it yet. I still have a couple more of the dragon missions to get through, and I haven't really felt any particular desire to get through it, which is unusual for me. Um, Normally, I'm very, very like when there's new story, I'm like, oh my god, I have to do this. I want to get through it, do all the things, whatnot. And it was concerning me a little bit, which is what I was mentioning in pre-show a little bit. Surprised me about Winter's Day. I've been participating a lot. And like, yes, I want Winter's Presents to be finished, but I've wanted that for a few years and I'm not in a hurry to get it done. So like it's a bonus for me that I'm getting progression on it, but it's not why I'm doing Winter's Day. I'm actually enjoying doing Winter's Day, like doing the races and the bells and the Infernarium and the strike mission, which I finally did for the first time this year, which was a lot of fun. Like, I've been trying to figure out what it is about Winter's Day in particular that has got me being like, oh, I want to do this more, and what was missing in the rest of Guild Wars 2 that has made me kind of like, I don't really care, you know?
Yeah, I've been kind of the same way. I mean, I still haven't finished Stormag Rising,
Mm-hmm.
which, I mean, I said I'd wait until until the voice acting came out, and then I still haven't had a chance to finish that.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of attribute it to like burnout, I guess, because we've been doing content for Guild Wars 2 for, I mean, this is episode 277, so
Sometime.
it's been a while, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. I do want to address Crichton Harold's point about basically faction rep in chat here. To quote for anybody who's just listening, in WoW they have factions linked to specific areas, and gaining faction rep allows players to unlock unique items and mounts. If Guild Wars 2 did something like that with all those Black Lion skins, they would solve a lot of their content issues. I honestly thought that's what the Dragon Response missions were going to be doing. Because Guild Wars 2, like, ArenaNet effectively added a rep system in with Drizzlewood Coast.
Mm-hmm.
Because all of the commission marks you get for the 4 legions, it's a rep system.
And, you know, I have to tell you, when they first were talking about that, I was kind of excited. I was like, okay, I'm going to care about this. I'm going to do the things. And, like, no, I don't really care.
Yeah. And
I don't know
like,
why.
it's passive income. I mean, you can choose where it goes, but, like, it had all the hallmarks of a rep system where it's you have to be in a specific map doing the things on that map. Like, it was a Guild Wars 2 take on a rep system.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that's what the Dragon Response missions would be doing, is that you would effectively choose a faction to rep, like with in Drizzlewood Coast, where you could either have generic rep gain with everybody, so split evenly, or you focus on one. I didn't expect this to be some kind of weird community event thing. Like, I really didn't understand why they went with community events. I thought, like, the response missions would be cycling through the factions that they'd be doing, and, like, maybe for a week you'd be getting rep for this team, or then rep for that team, and it's just not what it was. So I think that was a missed opportunity there. I really think they should have continued on with the bit going from Drizzlewood Coast. I think that was perfect and could have used some refinement there.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe not, like, I understand them wanting to keep cash shop stuff be cash shop stuff, but, like, throwing in unique skins for stuff, like I've said multiple times, there should be some mount skins in game.
Yeah.
Like, the majority of the mount skins at this point are all in the cash shop, and that's fine. Literally, when we heard about mounts, when we learned about the mounts, we're like, I can't wait to see what they do with the cash shop on these. And we had plenty of things to say about how they eventually did the cash shop for mounts, but just a little bit in the game.
Yeah.
So, but that's a lot of topic over something that was inherently negative, and I like that. So I suppose that's one of the things that, like, going into Cantha, it's nice to see a new area. It'll be nice to get a new take on things. One of the things that I was kind of disappointed in Path of Fire is that it didn't stay in Ilona. Like, as much as I, like, get the story going into Jormag from dealing with Kralkatorrik, I feel like we didn't get a lot going on in Ilona that stuck. Like, it wasn't really, like, we dealt with Joko, and that was about the only thing that was really uniquely Ilonian.
I still can't believe, like, how fast Joko was dealt with too. Like, it's been how long since then, and I'm still, like, literally, this is not even exaggeration. There was a couple nights ago, I was going to sleep and just running through things in my brain, and I thought about that, of how fast we dealt with Joko, and, like, how weird that was. And I understand now that we've seen all the story of why that was and why he needed to be dealt with and how things played out. But at the same time, there's still a part of me that's like, that's a missed opportunity. They could have done so much with him, you know?
Yeah. I honestly was just glad he was dead. But that's because I had no attachment to Joko, and I just thought he was an annoying asshole.
I thought he was hilarious. He was terrible, and I disliked him, and I was happy when he died. But at the same time, and I love the way that happened, but at the same time, I would have liked to see more of it before he went away.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is. So finally, like there's a lot riding on Cantha. Well,
It's
obviously,
always
there's
like I was
always
gonna
been.
say with any MMO, when there's a new expansion or a new thing that we know about that's coming, a lot is always riding them up.
Well, the problem is they've been wanting to. Who've been in for Guild Wars 2 have been wanting to see Cantha since Guild Wars 2 released.
Uh-huh.
So
Yeah.
we kind of have a Half-Life 3 effect going on here. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you who are listening, please just rein in your expectations a little bit. Don't overhype yourself for Cantha. Don't do it. Because you'll
Yeah.
end up ruining the experience for yourself.
I think the other thing
So-
is sometimes people make the mistake of thinking the new expansion will fix everything that's wrong with the game, which like it depends on what you think is wrong, but expecting any one thing to address multiple issues is pretty much always a terrible idea. Don't do that.
No.
Yeah. So, any final thoughts that you can pull on the that you can pull out of this Massively article?
There's no ISO in this article.
Seriously?
Right? No.
I'll admit I didn't scroll past the Guild Wars 2 one.
Yeah, that was something Deo pointed out too.
That was
That's
interesting.
Right, he did point that out.
I don't know if that has a certain future, but I just found that interesting because it seems like every
ahead.
Western MMO is in here.
Well, let's see here. Guild Wars 2 is number 1. Camelot Unchained, Astelia Online, Phantasy Star Online 2, Magic Legends, Star Wars: The Old
Been out
Republic,
yet.
World of Warcraft, Lord of the Rings Online, New World, Atlas Rogues, and Squadron 42, which is just haha, this is never happening. Squadron 42, I believe, is the EVE Online MMO.
I don't really agree with them putting things like Magic Legends and New World.
Like, they're not even games that are out yet, right?
Yes.
No, Squadron 42 is the Star Citizen thing.
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
Well, then Squadron 42, they're saying, haha, this is never happening because Star Citizen is never releasing. So.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but ISO, in my opinion, not having it on there kind of invalidates their opinions to me because
I feel like it's
not
just
a bad game, but it's always been uncertain. Like it's always been kind of waffly, in my opinion.
I feel like it's just a really long list. I feel like it needs to be chopped down a bit because uncertain like this. You're just listing almost every MMO that in the Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
I think honestly, if I were to narrow it down, I would say New World for sure, just because of the track record Amazon has.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Star-
fair.
Sadly.
Squadron 42, just because it's never coming out. Obviously, I'm interested why Fantasy Star Online 2 is here, just because.
Yeah.
I feel like that's just going to be an MMO that's just going to be around, that people are going to play if they enjoy it. I don't feel
think
like
it's like it's what I call like a niche MMO, like that it has a smaller following, but its following really loves it and really
Yeah.
supports it.
Well, I
And
suppose
there's nothing wrong with that.
I suppose you could say that, like, in 2021, any MMO has an uncertain future because the MMO genre, the heyday of the MMO genre is gone. Like, unless we have a resurgence of MMOs, anything could happen. So
I've always said it's the problem with MMOs is just that you need to have constant updates to your game.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, because there's too many facets to an MMO to keep updated. You need a really large team, and the only company I think they really do that right now is Blizzard.
it's just because World of Warcraft has been their cash cow for how long? So,
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I like the smaller, more niche MMOs that like pick a couple of aspects to like focus on and really do a great job of, and don't try to be everything for everybody. Like that's where I feel like MMOs run into
Oh,
problems often, because then when you're trying to do everything, your resources are spread really thin, or you need a massively huge team, which costs money.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I just realized Final Fantasy isn't there either. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm fine with Final Fantasy 14 not being on there though,
Yeah,
because they have, not only do they have like a really solid track record over the last few years of putting out consistent good updates, um, they also have a roadmap all the time of like players know generally what to expect next, of what's coming next. And Yoshi P has been extremely communicative when like things go awry or they change plans and whatnot.
And they also
So
got Yoko Taro briefly. So
mhm.
the
yeah, that's
madman that
cool.
he is. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like in this list, it's like 5 or 6 that are really uncertain futures. That like, because when I read uncertain future, I mean like, is this game going to survive in the
Right.
next 2 to 3, 5 years? You know?
I feel
Yeah.
like the statement at the end of the Guild Wars 2 blurb is I don't think Guild Wars 2 is going anywhere. And it's just like then it
So
doesn't
then
have an
it shouldn't
uncertain
be on this
future.
list.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I feel like we've drug everything we can out of that. I mean, it
Okay.
was kind of a brutal fight there for pulling things out. Speaking of brutal fights, and that's only a third of what's coming up, Mighty Teapot has some plans, my friend. So this week in Community Corner, Mighty Teapot has his plans for 2021. And I'm going to go straight to the WW section first, which thank you, Age, for pulling all this stuff together because the WW one is going to be really easy to say. The WW plans are to be determined because it's a secret. It's a
Yeah.
secret to everyone.
Even himself.
He has ideas, but he doesn't necessarily know just yet what he wants to
Right.
do.
Okay.
But
That's cool.
But there are plans that are not concrete. So, but there will be WW stuff. To the combative side of things, PvP, he's got the Masters of the Arena Global PvP Tournament, the Hardstuck Conquest Open, which will have separate brackets for EU and NA 3 times a year leading up to Masters of the Arena, the Hardstuck 5v5 Monthly, which offsets the 2 weeks from monthly automated tournaments, other possible PvP ideas around 2v2, 3v3, Mystic builds, and Stronghold. I don't know what Mystic builds means.
oh, Mystic Builds is basically Teapot's PvP tournaments where you have to play like a specific line or
Okay.
something like that and build around it.
Okay. That's cool. I like that. But that's a lot of PvP tournaments for community
Yeah.
planning. Like that's pretty sweet. I'm gonna have to like follow him for the Mystic build stuff because I really like that kind of strategy where you're like hard locked onto something.
Mm-hmm.
So that I'm looking forward to.
Yeah.
But then the PVE side of things, he's got the amateur raiding party. I'm gonna have 2 or 3 of these per year. No members from the second half of this, the elitist raiding party, guilds or record holders are permitted, but coaching is allowed.
Okay.
The elitist raiding party is going to be once a year, possibly after the first expansion. All CMs enabled with, and this is kind of ridiculous, a no downstate rule.
Ooh.
So I'm going to assume if you go down, you have to GG.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's
And that's for the
nice.
wing, I
Yeah.
believe.
oh, is that if you're dead until the entire party wipes?
I believe the
That would make
downstate
sense.
rule. I believe the downstate rule is for the wing. So
Okay.
if you go down in the first fight, you have to like proceed without that player. I believe
For the
that's the
rest
rule.
of it?
So there's
Yeah.
attrition. Okay.
Oh. I would think that it would be until that fight's over.
I don't remember exactly, but
Have to
it's
go.
one of
Either
those.
way, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, it's elitist after all, so it makes sense.
like that's the rough side of things. Where's the PVE thing? Brutal no downstate rule. That's all it says on the website here. So
Well, if it's brutal, then yeah, maybe
Right, like
the whole
if
wing.
that's just a you lose the person for the rest of the run, and if you want to restart the run with that person, you have to restart it completely. That's rough. Strike mission speedruns. Another category, open world tryharding. Introduces newer players to the idea of tryharding without being super stressful with mechanics and so on.
Nice.
Okay, yeah, sure, that's great. Raid and fractal time training with challenge mode as well. Beetle racing and fashion shows. See, I would look forward to the beetle racing, but that's just because, like I've said before, I love the goddamn roller beetle. So
I was gonna say I would look forward to that too, but I'm terrible at it. But I still like doing the beetle races. They're fun.
and for everything above, he is looking for people to join the team to help manage tournaments and organize groups. So
Awesome.
there we go. That's a lot of community stuff for 2021.
Yeah.
Like that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like even like half that stuff would still be a lot of stuff.
Is there?
Uh,
Go ahead, Age.
yeah. So Teapot and his team, well, it's like called Hardstuck. It's just like it's a really good team. It's just because of all the dedication and the production value is really good as well. And the just like thanks to Teapot and his team, like the the community has always something to look forward to in the modes, because I think Teapot realizes like these types of modes don't get as much views just because of the issues in the game, and so he tries to promote them as best as possible as he can, along with aside with his team. So that's really cool of him to do.
Now, if I remember correctly, he did have a shout out on the homepage of GuildWars2.com recently. Comprehensive Combat Guide. That was on the 14th of last month. So I was incorrect on that, but that's something completely different. But I mean, he got the call out there. Hopefully, he got a few new subscribers there. He's probably going to be posting YouTube content about Hardstuck. So, oh, now I'm getting yelled at. I'll be right back. Talk amongst yourselves.
Things.
Stuff and things. Uh,
Sorry.
look. This is the filler. This is the filler we have.
This is the filler. La 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 la.
Did y'all really just sing for like 15 seconds? Was that it? Oh, okay. No, I was getting yelled at by my cat. So, like I said at the start of the show, my wife is playing A Link to the Past. Twitch and copyright lately. I didn't want any Nintendo music showing up on the
Right.
VOD because Nintendo is super, super fun about their copyright. So I had to keep the door shut. So, cat wakes up, she wants out. I don't want her yowling on the recording, so here we are.
I see.
But that's if y'all don't have anything else about Hardstuck other than just holy crap, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Plus, we don't even know what there's going to be with World versus World, so there could be more stuff.
Right, and even just with the PvE and PvP stuff, that's a lot. So that's a great deal of stuff to look forward to, and that'll be it for Community Corner this week and for the show. So I guess it's outro time. So Arlie, where can they find you?
On Twitter and Instagram at Arlie82, and yeah, that's it. Yay!
Yay! And Age, where can they find you?
Twitch and YouTube at Age Night Road. I've just been doing mostly BDO lately. I have 2 more storylines to do on a new character and a bunch of grinding, and then I'm pretty much done for the season. So I'll probably hit back in other games. I got every Game of the Year nominee except for Doom Eternal. So I'll eventually play all of them. I already done Final Fantasy, but there's a bunch of other ones.
That's a
So
that's a
pretty
heck
excited.
of. Don't forget to grind out the latest event in Genshin Impact.
Oh, I did that already.
Okay, well I still have to finish that for myself, but I suppose that means I'm next. I can be found on Twitter at MelthanusMMO, where I Mostly, and retweeting things coming out of Talking Skritt and Mad Realms, but I also end up complaining about the Twitter ad algorithm. Like, good God, I think I blocked 20 accounts this morning. And talking about other gaming stuff. So at Nothing MMO, and also here on twitch.tv/MadRealms. That's 2 A's in the Mad. Every Tuesday and Thursday, usually. It's been kind of up in the air what with the holiday season, but I think we're going to be back on our regular stuff. Tuesdays we usually do just a group gaming shenanigans, Minecraft, Uno, Vermintide 2, other random stuff. And then Thursdays I'm going to be getting back into PvP. I think the season is over. I completely failed at doing Byzantium chest again this season, but I think I'm just going to go back to my roots and go back to my engineer in PvP for the next season. So I'll probably be training up probably some random ass flamethrower build, just because flamethrower seems to be super easy to pick up, and I can just get freelo on that, right? Right. That's what this is all about. Abusing builds and mechanics to get rating, right, guys? Right?
Yes.
But that'll be it for this week's show. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everybody.
I guess.